The night Emma Carter almost gave up, it was raining in Seattle the way it only rains when the city feels heavy, slow, cold, and relentless. She sat on a wooden bench at a nearly empty bus stop, clutching a folder that held rejection letters, overdue bills, and a final eviction notice. Her hands trembled, not just from the cold, but from the crushing weight of feeling invisible in a city full of people. At 28, Emma had done everything right. She graduated with honors, moved across the country with big dreams, and believed hard work would protect her. But life had other plans. Her mother's sudden illness drained her savings. Her company downsized. Friends slowly drifted away when her life stopped looking successful. And now she was counting coins just to ride the bus home to an apartment she would soon lose. That was the moment she heard a gentle voice say, "You look like someone who could use a cup of coffee." She looked up, startled. Standing there was a man about her age, maybe early 30s, wearing a worn-out jacket and carrying a messenger bag that looked like it had seen better years. His hair was slightly unkempt, his face tired, but his eyes were warm, sincere, and unafraid to meet hers. "I'm fine," Emma replied quickly, embarrassed by the tears she hadn't realized were falling. He smiled softly. "Most people who say that aren't." His name was Daniel Brooks. Daniel wasn't supposed to be there either. He was supposed to be driving home after another exhausting shift at the community shelter, where he worked as a social services coordinator. But his car had broken down that morning, and life, once again, had reminded him how fragile stability could be. Daniel knew that feeling too well. 5 years earlier, he had lost his younger brother to addiction. The guilt of not seeing the signs, of not doing enough, stayed with him like a shadow. It pushed him to quit a high-paying corporate job and work with people who were struggling, people the world had stopped seeing. That night, Daniel didn't fall in love with Emma. He didn't even think about romance. He just saw pain he recognized. They sat together at a small cafe across the street, the kind that stayed open late for night shift workers and lonely souls. Daniel paid for the coffee without making a big deal about it. Emma talked, slowly at first, then with the desperation of someone who hadn't been heard in a long time. She told him about her mother, about losing her job, about the fear of starting over when she was already exhausted. Daniel didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix her life. He just listened, and that changed everything. Over the next few weeks, their paths kept crossing, sometimes by chance, sometimes by quiet intention. Emma began volunteering at the shelter, not because she had to, but because helping others made her feel human again. Daniel became her guide, her friend, her steady presence. They laughed over burnt coffee. They argued about music. They shared silences that felt safe instead of awkward. But both were broken in their own ways, and broken people are often afraid of leaning on each other. Emma struggled with shame. She hated feeling like a burden, like someone who needed help. Daniel struggled with emotional walls built from loss. He cared deeply but kept his heart guarded, afraid that loving again meant losing again. The turning point came on a cold December evening. Emma received a call that her mother had taken a turn for the worse. She collapsed in the shelter hallway, sobbing, unable to breathe through the fear. Daniel found her there and held her. Not as a rescuer, but as someone who understood helplessness. That night, Emma finally admitted, "I don't know how to be strong anymore." Daniel whispered, "You don't have to be. Not here." That was when love quietly entered the room. Not loud or dramatic, but real. Still, love doesn't erase problems. Emma eventually found a job, but it paid less than before. Daniel was offered a promotion that required relocating to another state. Old fears returned. Was this relationship just a beautiful pause before more loss? They argued. They pulled away. For weeks they barely spoke. Until Daniel showed up at Emma's door one evening, rain soaking his jacket, eyes filled with a kind of determination she hadn't seen before. "I've spent my whole life helping people heal," he said, voice shaking. "But I forgot that I deserve healing too. And you loving you feels like healing." Emma cried. Not from pain this time, but from relief. They chose each other, not because life became easy, but because kindness had taught them how to stay. Years later, Emma would sit beside Daniel at the same shelter where they met. Now married, now leading programs together. She would tell new volunteers, "Love didn't save us. Kindness did. Love just grew from it."